one of the first moments I realised I was in love with him was when we were at a dance party and that, classic kind of laser lights all through the room, the smoky room. And he said to me, "Do you know why we see colour?" He explained colour to me. And I was like, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard.
Hello and welcome to Separate Bathrooms. We would like to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of this land, and pay our respects to the elders, both past and present. I'm Ali Daddo.
I'm Cameron Daddo, sitting beside Ali Daddo. How are you?
I'm good.
Feeling good today? I'm feeling good today.
I love that that's your question. You're feeling good? You ready to go? Let's go.
Why don't we have a chat with someone? Who are we having a chat to today? Who's in the bathroom with us?
Well, our guests today know a lot, actually, about the entertainment business, radio, TV and film. Plus,
producing, writing, performing, comedy, drama, everything in between.
Yeah, between them, they've covered pretty much every aspect, and they've had amazing success as well.
Jo Stanley was discovered performing stand-up comedy in a dingy Melbourne pub in the early 2000s and has risen to become a household name. She enjoyed enormous success, having the most listened to radio show in the country with a whopping 6 years at number one.
That's huge.
Which has led to building Broad Radio, Australia's first radio network for women by women.
I'm very excited to talk to both of them about it, actually.
Yep.
Jo is still a co-host of the House of Wellness on Channel 7, and she's the creator of Play Like a Girl, a book series for readers aged 8 to 10 about an under-11 girls footy team. And in the spirit of being a relationship show, we're keeping things balanced, of course, because she's married to the fabulous Darren Macfarlane.
So Darren's a highly experienced senior producer. He's taken his producing skills to radio, to film and to TV, working on projects with performers like Simon Baker, Jack Thompson, and our bathroom pals, the fabulous Clayton and Shane Jacobson.
Oh, yeah, we love them.
Right. Darren also, honey, he produced Lee Whannell and James Wan's short film Saw.
Oh, yeah, I've never seen it.
Okay.
Too scary for me.
A bit scary.
Yep.
So they took that short to Hollywood and used it as a proof of concept, and that launched their horror franchise. I hope he got 10%.
Yeah, true. So Darren's also partnered with Jo on Broad Radio. It's their new baby together. Okay. So let's find out more about these two super achievers.
Jo Stanley and Darren Macfarlane. Jo, Darren, welcome to the bathroom.
Oh, we love being in your bathroom.
Thank you for having us. It's nice and spacious.
It's spacious and it's sanitary.
It is very sanitary.
Keep it clean. Hey, Jo, when we were getting all the good goss together for our chat, I discovered that Stanley is a stage name. You're actually a Bailey.
Yeah, that is correct. I am a Bailey. I don't know if you remember, we probably started our careers at similar times back in the early 90s where there was this thing where they said you couldn't have more than one person with the same surname in registered with Actors Equity. I don't even know if that was a thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, Jo Bailey, who is now Jo Silvani,
Yes.
was on Sale of the Century at the time.
Still on Chemist Warehouse ads, though.
Oh,
She
she and I work together all the
Amazing.
time because I do House of Wellness and
Yeah,
she does
right.
other work there. So, yes, we see each other all the time. She's
I
amazing.
actually really, really love that. When we moved back from America, I was like, look, she's still on TV doing the ads. I love that. Like, that's consistency. It's good.
So you got the choice of three names then. You can do Stanley, Macfarlane or Bailey.
Yeah, I've never used
That's
McFarlane,
convenient.
which is
Okay.
my husband's
you never
name.
have.
No, I often do get Darren Stanley.
He does.
Oh, yeah, right.
Darren, two first names.
Exactly.
No, he's okay to take my... we'll go to like a lunch or somewhere and they've got my name and then, because he's my +1, they assume that he's...
A Stanley.
Mr. Stanley.
He's your toy boy.
Yeah.
Well, I like to think so.
That could be convenient in some certain situations, Mr. Stanley, yes, as you're doing something completely illegal.
Yes.
Yeah, that always works well. We we always ask the same questions of our couples because we love to know. How did you two first meet and what was your first impression of each other?
Well, it is a story that we tell often because it makes me laugh. So I was working at RMIT University in Melbourne. I was producing student theatre there. So, you know, very young. It was my first full-time job, actually. So I guess I was 25, something like that. And Daz had just transferred there. He was doing a PhD in chemical engineering there.
Yeah.
What a smart cookie, I know. And so I was running auditions for a play, a student theatre play. And Daz, I can say, I'm stealing his thunder.
No, not at all.
But it makes me laugh because he saw the advertisement for auditions and he saw it and thought, oh, I should audition for that because Artie Chicks put out. And he just transferred to the university, didn't know anyone. Anyway, so I remember the very first time I saw him, it was on the stage at the Collide RMIT Union Theatre, and he was wearing a lime green Adidas muscle shirt and a blue shiny navy blue shiny
tracksuit pants I've bought from
There
the
you
op
go,
shop.
Darren.
Oh, right. They're commonly known as dick stickers up in the northern beaches of New South
And they were
Wales.
top notch.
And they also give out a lot of static electricity.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. There was something about him, and I will never forget seeing him there with his cheeky little grin. And he could not act to save himself, but we were light on for guys. So I said we should cast him. He ended up playing 2 characters in that.
Yeah, I was a terrible actor, but there was only 3 guys who auditioned for 10 roles, so I got 3 roles.
Nice.
There you go. And you're still rocking the Adidas attire today.
I am, actually.
Still working for you.
How about you, Darren? What do you remember about Jo?
Well, for me, it was, instantly when I saw her, I was like, holy, I was quite drawn instantly. But for me, it was just that her energy, her smile, and, you know, it was just an instant attraction for me. Always laughing, always smiling, which was a nice positive from the previous relationship I was in.
Well, to that then, what's something that you discovered about each other that you didn't expect after getting together?
I would just like to make the point that perhaps I got him on a low because he'd come out of.
Low-hanging fruit, you
She
mean?
just kicked in her ex-boyfriend's door, so I thought, okay, this is a good time to meet.
Yeah.
We didn't have much to compare each other
No.
to, perhaps. So,
No.
yeah. What was the question? Sorry,
So
Cam?
the question was there something you discovered that you didn't expect after you got together?
I think the reason we're still together is because we are both learning people. We like to learn and we learn about the world and we grow very much together and learn about each other throughout the last 27 years or so. But I guess, I'll tell you, I was completely surprised because he was doing a PhD in chemical engineering.
Yeah.
And so I thought I was going to marry a doctor when we got engaged. And I was super excited because I was like, yes, it took him a long time to finish that PhD.
10 years.
Yes, 10 years. And when he finally finished, I was like, awesome, now you're going to get a job as an engineer. And, you know, this
Steady job.
That's it. And this
Yeah.
was before I was in radio. So, you know, we were pretty, we were the kind of couple that couldn't afford meat every night of the week, you know.
Yeah.
So I was like, awesome. Now, finally, he's finished his PhD. He can go and get a job as a chemical engineer. And he said to me the next day, you know, honey, I don't think I want to be an engineer. I was like, oh, this is a surprise, learning something, to your point, Cam.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, I think I'm going to produce dance parties.
Very lucrative dance parties.
Yeah, you can imagine.
Back
That's
in those days, they
Yeah.
were.
yeah, it's not a career that you go,
No.
okay. And then he finishes 2 years of that. I'm like, great, now we're going to be an engineer. And he says, no, I think I'm going to be a filmmaker. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, we're going to be broke forever.
And I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way up.
Assistant to the third AD.
Well, even lower. I was a runner for quite some time.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
But for me-
that's the worst of the worst.
But for me, with Jo, it was the emotional intelligence, because when we met, I was just a classic, 28-year-old bloke with not really well connected to his emotions. And for me, I just learnt emotional intelligence through our relationship with her. And it was amazing to sort of just learn empathy and all those sorts of emotions which were deep buried in my chest somewhere.
Yeah, they're in there somewhere. Yeah, nice. How did you made, like, what was it about the PhD and then flipping like that out of that? Was it just, that's a long time to study and then to make it.
Do you know what it was?
left turn?
I always wanted to do film and TV. Like ever since I was 10, when I saw Star Wars with Dad, I just went, this is it, this is what I want to do. But I grew up in a country town and I have parents who are very working class who really sort of, emphasised you've got to do your math sciences, you've got to do this, you've got to do university, do a PhD, really go that pathway. So they were pretty disappointed when I end up doing dance parties.
But I think you're a child of the 80s and that country town mentality where boys did maths and science.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
no,
sure.
boys did not become creatives. They did not make things. And so because he's super clever, it was something that he just kind of followed the next step and the next step and the next step until eventually he's on this PhD pathway. And I have to tell you, it is one of the things that really I found very attractive about him. But what since then I've learned, how amazing is that? At the age of, I don't know, what were you, 30-something?
Yeah.
You just said, I'm going to start at the bottom and I'm going to work my butt off and really forge a career in something I'm passionate about. And I don't care what people say and I don't care how many challenges I face. And what a great role model that is for our daughter. What an incredible story that is for someone who just goes, you're never too old to follow your dream from that point of view.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of him. And he's an outstanding producer, like incredible producer.
Yeah, it's that interesting thing of really torn between, doing what was drummed into me as a young man or young person of, you have to support your family, you have to support your wife and all that sort of
Which is not a bad thing.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's not that I'm against that. But, they're very sort of macho sort of imprint planted. And then for me, it was going, well, hang on, I want to do what inspires me, what I love.
Yeah.
And I know a path of, the arts and creativity is not lucrative, but it's what fills my soul and makes me happy. And, which is why this pathway for us to Broad Radio has been so fulfilling, because this is what we've always been and always continue to do. It's amazing.
I love that, because so many people would have stayed in that engineering job and just sort of had a life of wishing, and you didn't. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Also, what strikes me is the discipline of doing a PhD and what you or how you learnt and how you could apply that skill of learning, because that's what I'm trying to teach our kids is like, I guess schools, you get to learn reading, writing, history, all those sort of things, but it's more about learning how to learn. And so
that was one of the big things I learned, because I actually went over to Brussels to study for a year, and that was the thing that I learned from my supervisor over there was just the whole process is about learning to learn, like how to find the answers, but at the same time it's also, which I think is quite pertinent now, which is it's a pathway of mistake to find what works and what doesn't work, which is learn by doing and learn by making mistakes.
And I would say from the point of view of me, like I'm a stand-up comedian who found myself in radio, and then I was a radio broadcaster who found myself as a startup founder, right? And certainly developing and building a tech company and a media company was not something I ever thought I would do. Turns out it's quite hard.
Yeah. Bit of a learning curve there, Jo.
But what I have discovered is exactly that if everything is a hypothesis and an experiment, there is actually no failure.
Yes.
What there is learnings and going, oh, that didn't work, all right, I'll try something different. Or, wow, that did work and I didn't expect it would, so let's do more of that. And if that is not a lesson for life, I don't know what it is. Like, I just think that's a beautiful way of living.
Yeah, I love that. In fact, one of the questions that we have for you is, what role does failure play in your success, and how have you dealt with setbacks in your career?
Well, I mean, we've had plenty, both Daz and I, and it's pretty, it's heartbreaking when you have those moments where what you're working towards, you have the rug pulled out from under you. But I think I've changed my sense of self over the last few years such that I don't need external success to feel like I'm I'm a good person and to know
Yeah.
to like who I am, right? Like, and that, Ali, you would know that comes with age.
It does. It does.
I
so
think-
with the fellas in the room.
No, I
We
know,
don't
but
come with
I think there's a thing that happens for women as we
Yeah.
go through our 40s and get into our 50s, that we suddenly free ourselves from that external validation that we seek as younger women and teenage girls, where we just think we have to be thin, we have to be
Yep.
beautiful, we have to be a popular person, we have to please everybody, we have to be amenable. Well, you know what? Fuck that, right? Because I'm in my 50s now and I'm being who I am and stepping into my power. And oh my God, the difference, Ellie.
Oh,
You can attest to it.
Huge. Yeah, I'm definitely I'm the most confident and happy in myself than I've ever been that I can remember. You know, and my body is
Hot.
wrinkly and dimply from neck to knee, and
Fantastic.
it's like
Still hot.
No, but I just because now my goal is like, okay, what do I want the rest of my life to feel like? Not like, you know, I want to be fit and strong for our grandkids. Not like I want to be a size 6 for my grandkids.
Exactly.
You know, it's none of that. It's like, what do I want to be? And like, what else do I want to do with my life? I just didn't have that confidence to think I could swap and change and learn more. I don't know. It's just all come from age and
And is that the
menopause.
whole thing too? There's no age where you go, it's over. Like you look at people
Yeah.
like Jackie Weaver, who Hollywood career started at 60, and you look
Incredible.
at one of our hosts, Tracy Hutchinson, who's just turned 62, and you know she's just got this great role with us on Broad Radio, and she's amazing.
Yeah, I do
Love
wonder.
that.
I have a question. I know I'm not supposed to be asking the question. But I
No,
can't
no,
help
that's okay.
it.
This works best as a conversation. It really
Yeah.
does.
Well, I'm just so fascinated then if, you know, you've got two women who are agreeing that this is an extraordinary time for us in our lives in a way that I think is different for men, and then two men who love these women. What is it like seeing women that you love step into their power like that?
Oh, it's great. It's exciting. And I'm done. I wasn't going to butt Insky there.
He had those lines written down.
You can
I
edit
mean,
that
mate.
pause out.
And Princess Cruises offer the new Max Shawley speaking. Yeah. I mean, it's been an interesting evolution in terms of watching Al step into her power. It's fantastic and it's sexy.
Yeah.
And yet at the same time, where it's the moment where it's like, who are you? That's not what I'm used to. That's not what. So there's that transitional going, oh, hang on a second. Yeah. Oh, this is where we change. And I've had to go back into myself and go, okay, no, this is a moment where Al's evolving. We all changed. And so it's been a really great process. One of the things that really stepped it up for me was Ali writing her book on menopause and watching her determination and just her grit to sit down and sift through a ton of information and then distill that information into this wonderful book, you know, and go, this is my wife now. She's not, this is who she is. And she's teaching and she's making dinner and she's parenting and being my wife at the same time. So it's been a great lesson in watching someone change and evolve and step in, and it's exciting. Yes,
But isn't that
Yes, it is,
And,
Darren.
and I just want to say ditto to me for that.
Yeah.
But isn't that interesting? And I wonder if, relationships, because of course we all grow and change over the years, right? And if you're not, there's something wrong, obviously. But I wonder if, and I'm not going to suggest that we are a perfect relationship at all. And I also don't want to suggest that relationships that end are failed relationships. You know, that's a really important point for me. But I do wonder if relationships that last longer are because when someone changes, like you you identify there that it is a bit confronting to go, oh, this is my wife, that you're able to go, okay, interesting. Let's explore and be curious and accepting and open-hearted about that rather than going, hang on a minute, that's not who I thought you were. And now my life's changed and I don't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Because I think it can be super confronting. I know I've got one of my closest friends, like as she hit menopause and just started to reframe her whole life, and she started lifting weights and lost all this weight and became really fit. And her husband at the time was like, no, you're not the same person anymore. You feel strong and different. And she's like, I'm not going back. And that was the end of the relationship.
Yeah.
So it can be difficult,
The other word that comes to mind is acceptance as well. And that's just being, okay, well, let me accept what that is, and you allowing for change to happen. And then, as you use the word curious, that's a big part of what how I look at the world. I'd like to think that I do is be curious about the people and certainly about my own feelings towards things, and then have a response to that and move forward from there. So it is about accepting and then choosing, because we all get to make a choice, don't we?
Yeah. So true. So true. And, Daz, with all of his explorations, I'm going to be a dance party producer, and now I'm going to be a filmmaker. And, I went from being like a theatre producer into radio. And, we changed and evolved in many different ways over the last 20 or so years. But thankfully, I really like dance party music. That was the first thing.
She still does.
Yeah, but if I hated that kind of music, it might have been different. But I love learning new things about my partner, and that just, I guess, that stops it from being stagnant. I hope.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I agree. How do you feel that the landscape of Australian media has changed since you both first started, and especially for women? Have you seen it be broader and better for women now?
I think most definitely it is shifting. It's very different now. I mean, you see on the project, some nights there's 4 women on the panel.
Yeah.
Like that would never have happened, even 5 years ago. I don't think that was happening. So that shift is quite profound. But I think there's a lot that's still the same since when I did breakfast radio on Fox FM. I finished that 2013, finished Gold 2017. So, that's a long 7. I can't do sums. That's his job.
11 years ago.
Yeah.
But, I don't think it's changed enough. Let's just say that. And I think that in some parts of the media, we're very aware of the importance of diverse voices and having those really interesting different stories and different voices. But I think in many other parts of the media, there's just no one really cares that much about that.
Yeah, and look, in film and TV, I have noticed, when I started in the 2000s and 90s, it was very male set with the traditional roles of makeup and wardrobe with the women. Now I'm on set and it's almost 50-50. In fact, I've been on shoots where it was 60-40, in favour of, our female technicians. So it's great. And it's been a huge, since Me Too, huge change that also needed to happen.
You know what I love, because Daz, especially during lockdown, Daz does a lot of mentoring of writers and, screenwriters, and I'll hear him on the Zoom, and they've sent him some script which is fairly, let's say generic and could do with some...
Very, very first draft.
Yeah, could do with some interesting ideas. And I hear him say almost every time, because they're usually male screenwriters, he'll say, what if that character was a woman? And you see these men reel back and just go, whoa, hang on a second. It's like a bounty hunter who's a woman? Whoa. And,
she's strong. No.
Yeah, but it is instantly more interesting, right?
Yeah.
We all love the underdog story, and just how much more interesting is that? And we've already seen the men play those roles since God knows when.
That's right.
Yes. Well, what's the next big challenge or issue in gender equality? You mentioned Me Too. So is there another step to go? Where do you guys see that?
Well, I always like to say, because when I did radio, I, was always me with 2 blokes on it, pretty much.
Very Me Too.
And I very much loved those blokes. I loved them. I had the best time, continue to have the best time whenever I broadcast with those sorts of men, and they are still my best friends. But it's the reversal of that, I think. That would be great to see, I guess, like an even gender split would be good. But for me also it was about the fact that all of the women who were on air all looked like me. They were all white cisgender women, right?
Yeah.
And I tried my best to use the one microphone I had to be a voice on behalf of women and diverse voices, but it's not up to me to speak for those people. So in a lot of ways, one of the reasons we're building Broad Radio is to turn my one microphone into 100 microphones and to really kind of centre the voices that we don't hear. I feel like the term mainstream media often is a little misleading because it implies it's the majority.
Yes.
And I don't think that's true. I think if we look at the people we go to footy with and go to school with and work with and it's just not our community, and I am excited to hear different stories and different perspectives, and that doesn't necessarily mean just female or gender diverse. That means all kinds of voices.
Yeah. Amazing. Is that basically your inspiration for launching the platform Broad Radio, or was there something even more specific that you both wanted to launch?
Well, actually, it came to me in a meditation, which is very woo-woo.
We love woo-woo in here. We're very happy with woo-woo.
I mean, I just had this sense that there could be, I've spent many years witnessing and being a part of the transformative power of radio, of that ability to shift a person's day, to tell a story that means that the people listening feel like they matter, like it reflects their lives.
Interesting. Yeah.
And so when I was sort of looking around, I was in my mid-40s and, wanted to hear radio that reflected my life stage, and I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
And I thought, hang on a minute, I did the research, in fact, 5 million women in Australia who are over 35 and in that life stage, that really messy kind of, it's joyous, but it's chaotic. You've got maybe young kids or teen kids or kids sort of moving out of home, so you're dealing with that empty nester. You've got ageing parents. You've got a career that's really full on that you love, but you're trying to juggle it all. Maybe you're just newly single. Maybe you're in a difficult relationship. All this stuff is happening, but nothing's kind of reflecting that life in a radio sense. And I just am so passionate about the medium and have witnessed how it can change not just an individual, but actually a conversation. And for me, if you're reflecting those various stories, then you're actually giving space for them to be, those people in the stories, to be heard and seen and therefore happier and healthier. And so our vision is using radio as sort of a lever for change to create women who are happy, healthy, and to support their pursuit of fearlessness. That's what we want.
Wow.
In a nutshell.
Yeah. I've spent a long time meditating on that.
Well, clearly. Yeah.
And for you, Darren, so did Jo bring this idea to you and
She
you went,
did.
let's do it?
And look, for me, it was more a case of, and obviously I believe and support all those things, but for me, it's, being a co-founder is a very lonely, tough journey. And for me, watching Jo go on this journey of trying to put everything she has into this startup she needed help, needed support, and I just wanted to be there for her. And just to have someone you can implicitly trust to have your back no matter what was really important to me. And so, that's why we're here as a duo.
What's a piece of advice that you would give a younger person, of any gender, who's struggling with confidence in their careers or their personal lives?
Oh, biggie. I mean, I feel like I'm writing a book about that. Actually, I am sort of putting notes away because I think that I've learned I was too even on, when I was doing radio and I was breakfast radio number one for a long time, people would assume that I was kind of sitting in my power at that time. But I was very amenable. I was very willing. Women are people pleasers naturally, I think. And I didn't kind of advocate for myself because I didn't know how. And so I thought I'll just be really nice and work really hard and I'd get noticed enough and people would see me, but they didn't. I never felt properly seen. And I think what I've learned, and it's a muscle you have to start using as soon as you can, as soon as you can identify it as a teenager, as in your 20s, exercise that muscle where you say, this is me, I need to do it this way. I respectfully say, thank you, but no. All of those sorts of phrases that you can learn and practice, and it's always going to feel that sick making in the gut when you kind of speak up for yourself. It's always going to feel like that. But you have to just practice it. It's a muscle. And bit by bit, it will feel less difficult. But the fact is, future you will thank you because you're actually setting yourself up for yourself in 10, 20 and 30 years' time.
Yes.
Yeah. And then for me, it's perseverance, just pushing through no matter what and just sticking at it, but also open to learning, open to change and pivot.
And you're the perfect example of that,
I've
Darren.
pivoted a lot.
You're a dancer. You're a ballroom dancer.
I am.
But that's so great, and that's something that we've certainly our kids' generation too. Even our generation was starting to do it. But in our parents' generation, you had one career your whole life. That's what you did. And when our kids are sort of early 20s, and it's like you can change if you if you just stick at something, give it a good hot go. But if it's really not what you're super passionate about, it's okay to change. You can be so many things in your lifetime.
I think there's a real fear in our young people. They think, oh, what if I get it wrong? Or, particularly university is so expensive now, so it's going to be a waste of time or money to change courses. If you have if you can afford to change a course, you should, is my opinion. I just think there's this fear and assumption that you should have it all worked out by the time you're 21, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous.
I mean,
I'm still trying to work it out.
Look at this guy.
Me too.
He has no idea.
Yeah. So am I.
Darren's going to pivot again. You watch.
Oh, don't you worry.
Yeah, I love what you said. Actually, I've just finished. Well, I've got a book coming out next. Well, it'll be out now when we play this recording. But it is on confidence, and it is about my struggles with it. And because it's not just a gender thing specific. It's I really struggled with it, and I still do. And it's really understanding my value. And as you're talking about, Jo, and I think that's such wonderful advice is using that muscle when you're young. And the thing is, we had this thing, we're supposed to feel good. And it's like, actually, we're meant to feel a little anxious. We're meant to feel like we're uncomfortable. But we're so not ready to be uncomfortable. And everyone's saying, no, just feel good, man. It's like, actually, no, I feel like shit.
Yeah.
But that confidence comes after the fact, when you get through that and you do persevere, right?
Yeah, well, confidence creates confidence, right? But the first step, and Daz, he always teaches me things through the lens of scientific learnings, right, and scientific theory. So he uses this term, the coalition of friction, which he explained to me is about that first turn of a wheel, right? Okay. That's what confidence, the first time you do something, feels like.
Right.
It's that friction, but actually you'll get that momentum and eventually it will feel like confidence.
Yeah.
But, it's...
See that PhD paying for itself?
That's what I mean. It wasn't wasted time.
Not wasted at all.
But Cam, I just love that you've written that book because
me
it is
too.
so important that we hear that from men, because I see it in Daz. He is not a person or a man that you would identify as an alpha male, inverted commas. I don't even know.
I'm not into fishing.
You're not into fishing?
What about golf, Daz? Can we talk golf?
Yeah, I have a bash of golf every now and again.
No, you do
Sorry,
not.
I didn't mean to interrupt you,
I
Jo.
have never seen you play golf. That is so not true.
He clearly just plays with his balls a lot.
I do.
Come on now.
But it's so important to hear that from men because
Yeah.
I see in Daz that he has had his whole life instances where, bullied at high school or, all those instances where and look at me, I'm speaking on behalf of him, I feel bad. But I just think it's great to hear that from men.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's
Thank
that real
you.
thing of status anxiety, which was something that really hit me in my 30s, and I started having panic attacks, just going, who am I? What am I? What, all those things I was told I should be, and I'm not doing it. And it was a real period of change in my 30s, which, opened up to therapy, which was amazing, which we're both huge advocates of it. And I love it. I love cognitive therapy.
Yeah. Well, Cam interviewed some incredible people. I'm just going to speak on your behalf. Incredible
I
people
did.
for the book.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting because there's not a single one of them that didn't have a crisis of confidence at some point and went on to be, hugely successful. But it's that it's what you do with it afterwards, and
it's how you rebound from those moments. And I mean, we're talking people like Keith Urban. I've spoke to a pilot, doctor, all sorts of different people. I wanted to get a really broad cross section of people. No one gave the same answer about what confidence is.
I love that.
That's amazing.
I spoke to Ian Baker Finch, the Australian golfer who had that famous collapse in the mid '90s, and his tale of it is fascinating. One thing that you said, Jo, earlier is that really having people understand that they matter was a big part of it too. When you know that you matter and that I say that word value again, but mattering is so important. Yeah. And as a PhD, Darren, you would understand a lot about matter.
Nice segue.
You like that?
Take it from here, Darren. Explain matter. Thank you.
Well,
I don't know where to go from there with matter.
No, I was just throwing a ball at you, mate.
More UV light was my thing.
Oh,
yes.
Interesting.
It's how actually one of the first moments I realised I was in love with him was when we were at a dance party, and that, classic kind of laser lights all through the room, the smoky room. And he said to me, "Do you know why we see colour?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he says to me, "Do you know why we see colour?" And I had no idea. And he explained colour to me. And I was like, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. You've just explained the universe to me. And I was like, because I'd come from the arts. Like I'd come from literature and theatre and words. And he came from understanding the universe through the beauty of science. And it just broke open a whole different understanding for me. It was amazing.
You're like, I must marry this man.
Can you give us that definition in like 30 seconds?
Absolutely. The thing that I found fascinating with light, because that's what I was studying at the time, was that photons of light, object or matter will absorb all the photons of energy of light, and the colour you see is the one that it reflects. So if it's white, you'll see a white photon. If it's red, the red photon is the one that's reflected off the surface, whereas all the other colours are absorbed.
Is this why the ocean is blue? Or the sky is blue?
Oh, yeah. So the blue is the angle of the sun hitting the sky. And that's why as the sun changes angle, that's where you get the different colours, because it goes through the different angles of the energy of the light hitting.
I'm in love with you too now, Darren.
Do you see how sexy that is?
Yeah, it is sexy.
I can see you, Jo.
Sexy.
I can see.
So, hey, listen, apart from photons of light and these deep explanations that happen on disco dance floors, was there anything else that brought you two together? Like, you're both from Melbourne. You're both Melbourne-centric. Is that footy teams? What schools you went to? That's questions Melbourneites ask each other.
When we first met, I didn't really have a footy team, and Jo, who's fourth generation Collingwood supporter, when we got married, she said, "There is one thing you need to understand, that when we get married, you have no choice but to barrack for Collingwood. That is not negotiable."
Yeah.
And we got invited to the footy once by Ed Maguire, and we're very lucky to be on the president's table. And it was one of the games in the early 2000s against Brisbane where we met. I think we won the game to get into the grand final, and we're down the change rooms, and Eddie Maguire is singing the song, and he's got his arm around me, and he goes, "Dad, who do you barrack for?" I go, "Collingwood, of course."
I mean, I brought in the big guns to do the conversion.
So I was a convert from that moment.
And then he's gone, correct answer. Next question.
There was no way he could answer anything else.
Nah.
But it's so funny because Darren is now, more one-eyed than I am.
Nah.
And I'm at times going, "Honey, you're actually embarrassing yourself. It's too much at the footy." But every now and then I say to him and other people, I don't know what we would talk about without Collingwood.
Yeah.
It is our greatest connection through the winter months, over summer. We talk about when will the footy start again.
Yeah. Well, can I tell you, it's the same in our family, though we're Essendon supporters. And I can actually give Collingwood props. They've been one of the most entertaining teams in the last 5 years to watch.
Yeah, it's been great.
Yep, great. However, so Ali won our family tip-off this year.
Good effort.
Yeah.
I've never won, and I'd say this hand to heart, I've never won a trophy, a competition in my entire life, and I've beat out all the daddos and all the married-in people to win this family tip-off for the AFL. Grew up in Sydney.
I imagine there's a lot of you. That's a big family.
Yeah.
There's a few daddos in there. There's probably about 25 participants, and so she run like round 17. She's asked me about who's going to win the Lions, or is it the Lions and Fremantle? And I told her, and then halfway she's gone, bugger you, you're wrong. I should have gone with the Lions.
Yeah.
I said, Jo Darren plays for the Lions. I don't like them anymore.
Yeah.
And I didn't do any research. I did a bit of woo-woo, Jo. I actually just sat with the teams and I went, what's my first thought? What's my first feeling? And I went with that, and that's made me win.
Bloody one. She
Yeah,
secrets.
it was one of those seasons. Hey, but back to your question, I think the one thing for Jo and I is we love a laugh. Laughter is a huge unifier for us, and one of us might be down or having a bad day, and as you can imagine, like to crack a joke, often at inappropriate times, but sometimes, most times, it's what lifts the day, and it's that's a huge unifier for us.
I mean, he's lucky he's funny because he's enraging. And there are many, many times over the years when I have been flat out furious, and he would wait. Like, his timing is impeccable. He's the funniest person I know, and I've spent many years in the comedy industry. So, he's funnier than most of in fact, all of the stand-ups I've known in my time. And some of them are my best friends, but still, this man, the funniest person I know. And his timing is perfect. So I would just give him a spray of monumental proportions, and he'd just pause and then bang, a joke, and I'm like, fuck you, I can't be cross at you. Fuck it, now I'm laughing.
It diffuses everything.
Because I love a laugh. It's my favourite thing in the world, and most definitely, Daz. And, I don't know, out of the two of you, and I don't know if this is the case for all couples, but I think there's the one that people like the most, right? In your friendship groups, and it's always Daz. Everyone loves Daz. I'm happy to be the person to sort of, I'm an introvert, so I quite like sitting in the background and letting him just go. He's very, very funny and very energetic. He lights up a room. He's very loud.
That's my husband. I'm the introvert. He's the extrovert.
Jo's got a group called the Naughty Mums, and when she goes to catch up with them, I'll get a text like an hour later. Hey, Daz, when are you coming over?
This is so true.
We're all waiting for you.
Interestingly, he hasn't really got many male friends, but the women love him. Which I love. I love it so much. For me, the greatest joy, and even the joy doing this podcast, no one hears from Daz because I'm the person front of centre doing the waka waka, and to me, he's the clever one, he's the funny one, and he's the creative one. It's just a joy to give him a microphone.
Thank you.
So beautiful. What are the values that you both really treasure that you think are at the core of your relationship?
Well, empathy is a huge one, and connecting with each other's emotions, and it's quite funny. There are times when Jo will come to me and go, look, I'm sorry, and then there'll be a huge pause, and I'll look at her and I'm going, what? She goes, and now you. Oh, okay, yes, and I am incredibly sorry for whatever happened earlier.
It's so true. But I think that the thing that connects us and makes us, I kind of want to stay really good friends mainly, and then love each other very much, is just a mutual respect and admiration. I just think he's awesome. Yeah. And never, ever, ever, ever be resentful, I think is resentful is poison in a relationship. Yeah. And for us, I think if I was starting to feel resentful about something, then we would need to talk about that and why, and let's kind of clear that and take that out of whatever is going on between us. Which is
I'm glad I've quit eating Tim Tams, because there was a lot of resentment there.
Were they the dark chocolate ones?
The dark chocolate ones.
Good.
I'd eat 10 and leave one.
Oh, okay.
That's grounds for divorce
Yeah.
right there. Yeah, for sure.
That was a big mistake. You left one. You should have thrown the evidence out.
Just take
What
them
did Thames? They weren't even there.
Eat them in the car.
There's nothing to see here. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats.
They're eating the
They're eating the cats.
What are you doing in the pantry?
Don't do that. Is there anything that's still, I'm sure there is, things that still surprise you about each other that you're discovering after all this time together?
Well, do you know what? For me, Daz will have said for the last 20 years that he can't change. He's a person that can't change. I am who I am. He'd get all, no, that's me. And it would frustrate me because I'm very, very passionately growth mindset. But actually, he has changed the most, I think, out of the two of us over particularly the last 12 months even, but 2 years. He has now, Ali, he would say to me, I can't meditate. It's not me. I'm not going to do it. Not even going to try. I can't do it and I can't change. That's who I am. And this time last year, he started meditating. Now does it every day.
Wow.
Meditate every day. Do the cold shower plunge.
Oh, isn't that good,
Oh,
though?
I love it.
How good's that? Yeah.
So good.
Look at you go. Look at you go.
Do you do the whole like, and then you come out and you go, you should try that.
No, I go silent. I go very quiet. And I'm usually surrounded by people that are very loud and they want to hear stories from what's going on,
Yeah.
And it's like I just sit very quietly. I tuck my hands into my armpits under the water there. So, because do you find your hands get really, really cold first?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But no, I do love it. I'm quite addicted to it, actually.
Yeah.
The learning in himself has surprised me because he always told me that he couldn't do it.
Couldn't do
He
it.
did.
Yeah.
Loved it. But, it's interesting when I look back to the person who said, I can't change, but, 10 years ago, quit drinking because I did not want to be this person who always drink every day, affecting myself, my health, but more importantly, the relationship with Jo. So, I love growth and change now. But when it comes to Tim Tams, I can't change.
Yeah. There's some things.
Just some things I can't change.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry.
I hear
What about you, Al? Is there anything you can't change?
you. The way I have my tea.
That's right.
I am so ridiculously specific and it annoys the hell out of everyone that knows me, but it's nothing I will change.
But does that mean people never make you a tea then?
No, we try, but you'll doctor it afterwards.
Every now and again, but I doctor it myself. I'll make
Yeah.
I'll make my own tea, sit down and go, no, I have to go back. It's just not quite right.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's going on with your tea?
Little bit more
I-
milk,
Do you have to
little
leave the
bit
bag
more.
in or you take the bag straight out? Or you're
I take the bag out, but it has to be left in for a certain amount of time, and I hate it when people take the bag out too early, and
Yes.
it's piss week. Oh, drives me nuts. Don't give me the almond milk or the oat milk. I need 2% milk in my.
Oh my God, I'm never, ever making you anything.
It's a pain.
Oh no,
It's a
she's
punish.
good at food. It's only the tea,
It's only the
Jo.
tea.
Just
It's only
the
the
tea.
tea.
Down to almost like how many grains of sugar
Yeah.
are allowed in
Oh.
that
It's
tea.
bad.
And
It's
it's like
bad.
you can't you can't cut a piece of wood longer. It's like you can't put too much sugar in there.
Yeah, you
can't
start
back
little,
away from that.
add as you go.
Start again.
Just to get
Oh,
it right.
I see.
Yeah.
But how you've got a very, very good palate to be able to pick out, the distinction between all the different kinds of flavours.
Some would say. Some would say that. True. I actually my mother is exactly the same with her tea. So it's the one thing I've actually inherited a lot from my mum, but that is one thing I've definitely inherited from her. So she can make a good cup of tea.
Yeah.
Just make a good cup of tea.
Yeah.
Guys, we do a thing called the 2-minute shower. Since we're in the bathroom, so basically we're into water conservation. We keep the answers short, but
It's a cold shower.
It's a
probably.
it's a cold plunge. So leave all the out.
I'll try.
Okay. First question, please both answer the question.
Both
What's
answer
your-
at the same time. I need to know the rules.
No, we need to, we need to hear the
I
gonna
thought it
win?
was some kind of radio game where you catch out whether
No.
you knew each other well enough.
Oh.
I've got a lot of muscle memory that I'm trying to get rid of.
Head.
It's that breakfast radio thing.
Yeah.
All right, first question. What is your best quality?
My laugh, my humour.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd agree with that. Oh, but what about your amazing brain, honey?
Well, Close second.
You've got that. My best quality is that's a hard question.
Your compassion.
Compassion?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a superpower of mine, compassion.
Oh, and your other superpower is bringing people together.
Yes, I am really good at bringing people together such that I even with Broad Radio or everything, I'll pair people like in a podcast episode or something, and then 6 months later, I see the two of them are now best friends and they're collaborating on an amazing project or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I'll just go, yes, that kind of energy is going to work, and then it does.
Good short
That is
answer.
a talent.
Oh, sorry. What are you bad at? Short answer.
Short answers. Nah.
All right, what about this one? What habit does your partner have that you find adorable?
I was about to say chewing, but it's not that.
Yeah, no, we're looking for the adorable one. It's clearly not leaving one packet of one Tim Tam left in the packet.
Oh.
Adorable. That's a weird word.
It is in our relationship. That's why we got a Labrador. She's adorable.
Yeah, she can handle the A word.
Yeah, isn't she adorable?
It's so true. Adorable. Look, the way that Daz parents for our daughter, the way he is for her is just incredible and truly adorable.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. The way Jo is with her daughter as well. It's just amazing how beautiful and empathetic and loving and caring, and she just puts her arms around her so beautifully.
Love it. Love it.
What do you miss when you're not together?
My Labrador. Adorable.
No, I would say, and I haven't, we don't, I'm not of a generation, for me, I haven't travelled on my own very much. But when I have, I miss having his body next to me. Like it's a sort of he's just at the height where my head is next to his shoulder. And I really miss kind of having that sort of, I don't know, mass. When we're walking along, there's just the body next to me because it's kind of
sexy thing to say, isn't it? I love your mass.
Yes, I miss your mass.
It's like, I don't know. I just know when I was traveling by myself, I missed an anchor.
Yeah.
The grounding of that.
Gotcha.
I'm the perfect body pillow. What do I miss? Oh, there is that same thing too, that when she goes away, I just miss that. There's a certain energy just that leaves the house when Jo's not there, and I just love, I don't know, there's just that feeling of, I don't know, there's just a beautiful energy about her when she's around me. So I'm very grateful when she's around.
Also, I tend to organise the house as most women do.
Oh my God.
I'm glad you said most.
Good God. Okay, last question and then we're out of here because I got stuff to say to this guy. Okay. Last question. Describe each other in one word.
Big.
Loving.
Oh.
Fabulous.
Big,
I mean,
loving.
big is. I know there's supposed to be short answers, but I have
short
to.
answer.
It's one word.
Just let the world think big what?
I know he's got a big laugh and a big energy
Yeah.
and a big brain and a big heart.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Jo Stanley, Darren Macfarlane, thank you so much for joining us in the bathroom today. This has been an amazing, great chat. Thank you.
Super
Thank you so much
joyous.
for having
Thank
us.
you.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
I love that chat. I love the fact that Collingwood supporters can get together with Essendon supporters
There you go.
and have a civil, fun,
It's happened.
wonderful. We are icebreakers.
You are. Gosh, I love that thing about when Darren was talking about pivoting in his career and just learning from, the 30, whatever age he was in his 30s when he went back to the very bottom of the rung. And now, he's this incredible producer. Now it's, I just love that messaging. I think that's so important. People think that they can't learn, or start all over again in their 30s. Of course you can. You
Yeah.
start in your 40s or 50s.
Yeah, it's hugely encouraging, and that just the words around it. I get to do this today. I get to be this or get to do that, and it's okay. And so there he is. Well, they both are. They've both resurrected their careers at different points.
Yeah,
so,
Jo's brain is always going to be thinking of, I think, new things and ways to help and ways to expand. I think that's just who she is.
How fun. How fun. Well, we hope you enjoyed this chat today, and we will catch you on the next instalment of Separate Bathrooms.
Indeed. Thanks for listening.